You are listening to the Inverted Creative Podcast. I'm Allison.
I'm Brian.
And I'm Jen.
Well, hello, and welcome to another Coaster Conversations, Coaster Enthusiast Conversations. I don't even know what to call my own podcast episodes. Anyway,
Yeah.
I have a very special guest with me today.
Aw.
Who the heck are you?
I don't even know who I am, so that's a great question.
Nah, we are joined. It's only me. I am joined by one of my best friends in the world. He is the guy who married us this past weekend, which was exciting.
Stop it. Stop it.
Everybody knows him. Everybody loves him. It is our famous friend, John Mike.
Oh my gosh. You even got the jingle in there from show.
Yes, I did.
Gosh. Anyway.
Hello, John Mike.
Hello.
We are still recovering from this weekend.
Yeah, it was kind of a little bit of a shindig that went down this weekend.
Yeah.
And you Allison, you've been back to work for now 2 days this week. I've been back one, and I'm still how can I say this? Winded.
Yeah.
I have been winded.
Yeah. Coming off of this weekend and then leaving for Europe in less than 48 hours. I am tired.
That's right. You all are getting ready to go. That's exciting.
When this drops, we'll be somewhere in the middle of it all, but we're pre-recording before I leave.
Indeed. So when you all hear this, Allison could be having some very fine Italian food at the lovely Italian establishment of Olive Garden.
Actually, no, we'll be in Poland by the time this drops. I'll have
well, maybe a let's see, in Poland.
Pierogies.
So like a stroopwafel.
That is not Poland in the least.
I know it's not Polish at all. I don't even know what Polish food is. I know they have food there.
They have pierogies. I know that's a big one.
Okay, you know what? Pierogies.
I love me some pierogies.
Sounds like I'm gonna have to go to the store and buy myself some pierogies and air fry them to be joining you all in spirit. So
yummy.
Yes. Pierogies do sound good. Actually, a little snack food does sound good right now. I was craving chips and salsa earlier, I don't know what, but
when are you not craving chips and salsa?
I mean, listen, it's a good little snack food. Anyway, we are on the Inverted Creative Podcast, which is not about snack food or Italian food or pierogies, even though all of those are delicious. So
we're here to talk about you.
Oh no.
I guess to get started, do you want to just kind of give us the rundown on you, who you actually are, home park, cred count, all that good stuff?
Yeah, so my name is John Michael, and or a lot of people call me Jike for short. Random nickname that a friend in a semi-past life gave me, and it kind of stuck. So my home park is Kentucky Kingdom. We have Flying Fox, or as I'm going to affectionately know it as T4, getting ready to be opened here within the next couple of weeks, here later in the month of May 2026. Cred count, I am currently at, I'm fact checking myself right now. Please stand by. I am so sorry. I am ill prepared. And because of how simple of a coaster enthusiast I am, all my credits are on a note on my notes app on my phone.
I could also just look at the spreadsheet that I got for the wedding.
That's true. I'm currently at 608.
Woo.
So climbing up that ladder slowly but surely. Definitely not on your left with anyone right now. And I do not know when the next time is going to be that this number is going to increase. It'll be at some point soon, I hope.
Well, you'll get Flying Fox soon.
Yes, so it'll go up by one, so I'll be at 609. Woo!
Woo. Almost nice.
Well, there's an extra zero in there, man.
Yeah.
Oh man. So yeah, that's kind of a little bit about me. Obviously, huge overview, 50,000 foot view of who I am.
Do you have any trips planned soon?
Nope.
Nothing on the horizon?
No. I've had complications due to just a little insight for all those of you that are listening. I had some complications with my job recently, and all of my paid time off is blacked out. Otherwise, I would be accompanying you all in Poland.
Yeah, wish you could be there.
I know. So, obviously, wish I could be doing that, but instead, I do have I have a friend that has been, and Allison, you know who it is. It's James, who is trying to convince me to go out to Iowa with him at some point in the summer, which I would love to go back out there and experience the now Hershend-owned Adventureland, which Adventureland is just a fun time.
Yeah.
Lost Island, of course. My gosh, Lost Island. And of course, they have a Fire Runner now, their RMC Raptor single rail coaster.
Oh, I'd love to go ride that.
And I mean, in general, Lost Island is still, I think, probably the most well thought out modern regional independent park that we will probably see in the very least in this decade.
Right.
The execution of it is just incredible, and I know that you all have talked about it from a creative standpoint, but even from just a guest standpoint, yes, there's growing pains and such that any property will have, especially in the amusement or entertainment space. But to have Lost Island as well thought out as it is right out of the gate, it just goes to show that it's a passion project,
Mm-hmm.
So, but anyway, yeah, that will probably be the soonest trip that I will be on if I make it happen.
Are you gonna be at the Holiday World birthday party bash?
Oh, no questions.
Okay, just make it sure. I don't know if that counts as or is classified as like an upcoming trip for you. It's a trip, just not new creds.
Well, it's technically an upcoming trip because it'll still be happening. It's just in August.
I mean, August will be here before we know it, though.
Yeah, well, I said the same about y'all's wedding, and next thing you know,
it's going.
Next thing you know, it was January 2026, and all of a sudden the scream happened, and then now y'all already married.
Yeah. God, time seriously has been flying lately.
I don't like it.
I know. Speaking of time flying, when did we meet? I honestly can't pinpoint when we met.
Well, we accidentally met in 2019 and didn't even know it.
Yeah, that was over Georgia. Is that right?
No, Dollywood.
Oh yeah, that's right.
Yeah, we accidentally met in 2019 at a Coaster Force shoot at Dollywood. And so Allison and I were there on the park was closed. It was a private filming day for Coaster Force. And Dollywood had graciously agreed to allow the folks over at Coaster Force to have some guests on the rides to give them some personality for the videos. So we got to ride Tennessee Tornado. Dragonflyer was there at the time as well. I think that was that was in 19. Dragonfly or Thunderhead, which we got evacuated off of Thunderhead.
Still my only evac crit, actually.
technically, technically, I got evacuated off of Gemini, but that was just from the break room because they couldn't advance the train. So, but we had Thunderhead, and I know we did Testing Tornado, Dragonflyer, Mystery Mine, Lightning Rod.
I think we got like one ride on Lightning Rod.
And then it went down.
Yeah.
It literally faulted. Like right after the first cycle that we rode it, it faulted and went down. But yeah, so Allison and I accidentally met there. Little did we know, but a few years later in 2021, Allison was originally going to be going to El Stumble 1 for the drunk riders, and which led into Buzz Bars being created. Which unfortunately you could not go to that because you came down with the Rona.
Yep, literally like 36 hours before our flight tested positive.
Yep, and we were all like, that is unfortunate, no thanks.
Yeah. And then, ice storm happened, and
yeah, the ice storm happened. Gosh, I remember that. The ice storm happened, and we were all, trying to decide if we were still going to try to make the thing happen, and then we did. But see, I'm kind of confused too because I remember I was supposed to meet you then, and I remember being in Atlanta.
You stayed at our house for New Year's, I think.
Yeah, I did do that for 1 year.
I don't remember the context of how that happened.
I can't remember either. All I know is I remember I drove down and I stayed at y'all's place, and I remember being insanely excited because I beat the clock to midnight and I shaved over 30 minutes off of my drive. We won't talk about how I shaved 30 minutes off of my drive. Let's just say I was moving very expeditedly on the road. And so that was really, really cool to be able to do that.
Oh, that was New Year's going into 2022. Because I did just find a picture of you sitting on my couch with Cheez-Its.
That checks out.
Yeah. Here, I don't know if you can see my camera very well, but there you go.
Oh my gosh. Yep. There I am. Cheez-Its and all.
Yeah, we went to Six Flags the next day.
That's right. We did go to Over Georgia. I still can't remember how I ended up doing that.
I have no idea.
Well, so anyway, we met somewhere in there.
Did you go on the Silver Dollar City trip with us?
No, I did not go on that trip with you.
Because we had just gotten back from that.
I remember I wanted to go, but something. I think I was where I was too new at work. I didn't want to put in for taking off work that close to a Velocity-Stumble. Because I think that's when you all went, right? Was that trip at later on? I can't remember. Time is a construct.
Yeah, it was right after, shortly after Velocity-Stumble.
That's what I thought. Okay.
Okay, so we met at Velocity-Stumble.
Clearly.
I'm literally just scrolling through pictures on my phone as we try to relive the beginnings of our friendship. I don't know. A lot's changed in life since then.
Just a wee little bit,
Just a hair.
Just a smidge. A few things, like 3 or 4, no biggies.
Yeah, just a couple. Maybe Velocity-Stumble was where we really started, hanging out.
I know that you got on video the first time I met Simon at SeaWorld. I remember that. I'm pretty sure I met everybody at SeaWorld. I walked in and found everyone. I mean, that would be pretty on brand for me.
Yeah, probably.
So yeah, so world, that's kind of how we think our friendship began, question mark.
Yeah. And then I moved up to Cincinnati a few years ago, and now, we live hour and a half apart,
Yep.
and you're just always up here, which is great.
Yeah. Yeah, especially with, the cost of living. Totally nothing has changed about that.
No, not at all.
Anyway,
Um, so how did you get into coasters slash theme parks slash this hobby as a whole?
ooh, that's a that's a loaded question. So back when I was a wee lad,
A wee lad.
yeah, a wee little lad. No, when I was really young, so I'm talking 1992. So I was, well, no, 93. 1992 or 1993. My parents took me to SeaWorld in Ohio. Yes, that park.
That SeaWorld.
That SeaWorld that existed. Um, so my parents took me to that park, and that's kind of where everything kind of jettisoned off. Um, like I still like not as vivid as when I was a child, but when I was a child, like I had very distinct memories that I could recall from that trip. But I had completely forgotten that we went to SeaWorld as I got older, and so I was confused as to why I kept having these really vivid memories of Shamu and just could not place them to save my life. And finally, like one of my other relatives was like, "Well, you went to SeaWorld when you were little." And I was like, "I did," and sure enough, like I have the pictures in my bedroom from that first trip. So, Allison, I may send you a couple if you want to try to take a look at this for maybe the cover art or
For
whatever.
sure.
But yeah, so it kind of began there. And it was kind of a twofold thing. So, one, like, my parents kind of had a little bit of the travel bug, but the other caveat to it was my parents knew that there was something going on with me, but they couldn't put their finger on it in terms of development. And what they saw, though, was whenever they took me to those very unique situational contexts, it did something to me in a positive way. And so they recognized that, and then they began just taking me to more of these places. So, for example, I remember going to Dollywood. I think that was so. Went to SeaWorld, Ohio first. I was in 1992, 93. But then in 1994, I believe it was, we went to Dollywood. I remember the only thing I actually really remember from that trip is the old wooden painted sign that had Dolly's signature down at the bottom of it that said "Y'all come back now, you hear." Like it was there at the old entrance, which is, if you're listening and you're familiar with Dollywood, it's just before Aunt Granny's. If you're walking toward Craftsman's Valley to go up that hill and everything, you'll see a long building that kind of spans the entirety of the Midway right there. That now has like a skillet restaurant and something else over there too, with patio chairs and everything around it. That was the original entrance to Dollywood, like back in the early '90s, and that was the expanded entrance at the time. And so that gives you a bit of an idea of just how much Dollywood has grown and changed since then. But then we went to Paramount's Kings Island at the time in '95, and that's when I rode my first coaster.
I've
And
heard of that place.
yeah, small little place, and went to Kings Island. kept going to Kings Island. Then ended up going to Kentucky Kingdom in the late 90s. I vividly remember being in the park when Chang was brand new,
Hmm.
because my aunt and uncle went and rode Chang, and my mom obviously, my mom didn't want to ride it, and I was obviously way too young to ride it, and we were, right there. If you're looking at the old plot where Chang was, we were in front of the present day Hurricane Bay entrance. Excuse me, and we were looking at the silhouette of Chang, and my aunt and uncle were on the train and it was cresting the lift hill. And as it crested the lift hill, this curtain of rain just overtook the ride right as they hit the pre-drop to go in the right course. So they got soaked. But then as I got older, like my parents tried to help me push the envelope. They tried to get me on, thinking back to Kings Island once again. They tried to get me on to, King Cobra. They tried to get me on to Flight of Fear. They tried to get me on to Vortex. They did successfully get me on Backwards Racer. I don't know how they pulled that off. But the bug really didn't take hold until 2005, when I rode my first inverting coaster, which was Son of Beast. Yeah.
That's a way to start.
Sometimes you just gotta, throw yourself into the deep end of the pool. And that came about because I was on a youth trip up to Paramount's Kings Island, and I had friends that were, in the youth group that were trying to get me to go on to the ride. And I was like, no, I don't want to do it. It goes upside down. And yeah, and I remember just being nervous as heck. I remember going up the lift hill, not being able to hear yourself think, because that lift hill with those premier trains was so loud. And I just remember thinking, holy crap, like I'm doing this. And made it through the first part of the ride, came through the mid course, and I remember just vividly death gripping the handlebar that was like on the back side of the car body of the row in front of me for the vertical loop. And I remember just death gripping it and being like, okay, here it comes, oh no. And we shoot through the loop and come out the other side. And I still remember this. We come out the other side. We begin going into the double helix behind the lift. And I remember saying to myself, I was scared of that. I was like, I like that. And then it was downhill from there.
Literally. I feel like that's just something a lot of kids go through, is like, I mean, I myself included, like, so scared of them for all this time, and then you finally do it and you're like, that's what I was scared of.
Right. Yeah. And like it's kind of a, like, looking back, it's a scenario of the one that got away, with King Cobra, because I really wish I could have ridden that. And my mom, like, went and rode it to prove to me, and that was the thing I neglected to mention. My parents, for Flight of Fear, Vortex, and King Cobra, like, I stayed on the midway watching them go and ride, and for them to prove to me that, hey, it's safe, it's fine. Which, ironically, the one ride that I vividly recall my mom doing that for me for was Vortex. And as my mom aged, she had some health complications earlier in life, and that led to her spine losing some of its. It led to her losing some of her height. And so when she went and rode Vortex as an older person and she lost that height, she was in the prime real estate for the Aero OTSRs. So she went and rode it, and she came off. She's like, that thing beat me up. I can't believe that. You don't have to go ride that, John Michael. Like, that is just, oh my gosh. And then it wound up being my favorite at the park until it got demolished in 2019. So funny how that happens.
Yeah, I still remember my one that got away was Viper at Over Georgia, because I told myself I was gonna ride it the next time I was there, and then they took it down.
That sounds something somewhat similar. I went to King's Dominion, and for whatever reason, Volcano had a mechanical malfunction, and it was just closed. Like, it was just down. Stared at it the entire day. Didn't get it.
I don't even know if I ever got to see Volcano in person. I don't remember when my first King's Dominion trip was.
It was so. I mean, it looked good, like it presented well from that one area on the midway. But other than that, I mean, the ride layout is kind of.
Yeah, I know, but it was just so unique.
Oh, absolutely! It was a very unique attraction. I mean, of course, built at the height of the Coaster Wars,
right?
And that was when everyone, went from parks to manufacturers were pulling out all the stops. Technology wasn't fully matured to that point. We had just gotten to a place where the technology that could be integrated into those attractions was like barely just stable enough to make it happen, Mm-hmm. And I kind of miss that pioneering spirit. I kind of miss that the ability of a coaster to make everybody's jaws drop. And I mean, they still can and still do. I mean, I think one prime example of that kind of level of just presence is going to be Tormenta Rampaging Run down at Six Flags Over Texas. Just how high it is with it being a dive coaster.
Right.
So, I mean, it could still happen, but I miss the pioneering days of the modern day, like some of the coaster designs we have now.
Mm-hmm.
Because the manufacturers and parks alike were doing some crazy stuff. I mean, you have X with aerodynamics. You had B&M just coming onto the scene, after they created Kumba and others in the early 90s. And then they gave birth to the invert model, which was a play off of Arrow's suspended swinging coaster and a different take on that idea. And then you had Intamin just doing insane stuff like using LSMs to launch a coaster up 400 something feet in 1997. So, we're talking years before Cedar Point broke all the records. I miss that, I mean, I'm very fortunate I got to live through it though firsthand, and I'm able to recall bits and pieces of it. So
yeah, I do feel kind of like we're seeing a resurgence of that kind of innovation though. Like thinking about the Axis coaster, Project Purple. I think like they're all just trying to one up each other now with less competition.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think it's so much competition between the properties now because, and I mean, for those of you listening, obviously we're speaking to you from the context of the United States.
Yeah.
And so now after the merger of Cedar Fair and Six Flags, most of our regional park base in this country is not competing against anyone in a vast majority of markets.
Yeah.
And so now, instead of the parks really competing for stuff, you have the manufacturers coming up with a crazy idea for a one-off attraction that they will be willing to build for the right customer. And so, I mean, to give modern day, now post-merger Six Flags credit, at least they're not just buying 15 clones and popping them down in the park and saying, here's your coaster, have fun. That is one thing I will give them credit for, because Project Purple could have just been an off the shelf model, and it's very much not that.
Yeah,
So
no kidding.
so um, it's good to see that, as you said, Allison, like there is some innovation coming back. It's just coming back in a different way.
Right. It's definitely not like the coaster wars again, but
Oh, absolutely not. The money for those is gone.
yeah,
It's long gone.
all the money is going into these singular projects
Yep.
to come up with whatever new world record or whatever they can.
Oh, absolutely.
It's all about the marketing now.
Well, it's about marketing, but also I think too, it's about something that a story can be weaved around too.
Yeah. Oh, for sure, story.
And I mean, I would love to see in the current context of the United States. I don't foresee this, but I would love to see an attraction be delivered on the level that some European parks do in terms of theming and immersion. Like, I would love to see that.
Like which coaster is an example? Out of curiosity.
Oh boy. Uh, I mean, I know this is probably the basic European enthusiast one to mention, but um, I was going to say Fly.
Yeah.
Um,
My mind went to Conda.
Conda too. Okay, yeah, because Conda has that very unique off-shot area where it's kind of off on its own.
Yeah, and it has its own like whole entry plaza. But then I guess Fly has its own entire area that it's
Fly,
woven into.
Fly has its own entire little miniature city, like
Yeah.
that it flies over.
You said
Um,
the thing.
he said the word. He said the magical word. Quick, everybody, take a drink of water.
Okay, I can do that. I have water here.
As do I.
Hydrate or dihydrate.
Yup. But yeah, I mean, so like Fly. I mean, even I would say a little bit too with like Voltron, as well. Um, I mean, I know this is not a coaster, but I would say even Mystery Castle is another good example.
Yeah. Okay. Changing gears because this just made me think of it because we literally just listed a whole bunch of things that we've gone to ride together. Um, which is wild to think about. Um, you and we've gone on some crazy trips together. What has been a standout trip that we've been on together for you?
Good gosh. I mean, as I said during the wedding ceremony, the number of times that a trip has begun with either the playing of an attraction's soundtrack followed by the words of "So I have an idea."
Yeah.
Like,
And this is how we came up with our group chat that's called Bad Trip Ideas Incorporated, which I think has like 10 of us in there now.
praise be to Happy Bee. Happy Bee is where it all started.
Yep.
We stand the Happy Bee.
We stand Happy Bee. That terrible little coaster. I almost got stung by a wasp on.
It's so bad. And for those of you at home, for context, look up Happy Bee at Dana Brook Greenhouse in Harrodsburg, Kentucky. You're welcome.
we made a special trip down there for us to ride it.
Yes, we did, and that's where the group chat started.
Yep.
So anywho, standout trip, man. I mean, I can't really hardly put it down to one.
Yeah.
I think I think Europa was really fun just because of how many people we could get to go. Especially with the fact that it began with you, Mike, and I in your car listening to the oh gosh, it wasn't Euromir. What soundtrack was it? Was it Liseberg? No.
No, because I thought it was actually. I thought it was something from Europa.
I thought it was too. I'm pretty sure it was something for Europa.
Because that was us manifesting. Maybe it was
Yeah.
just Europa Park.
I think yeah, it was some kind of soundtrack from Europa. I can't recall what it was. But um I
And just
remember
videos of Voltron that were coming out at the time.
yeah, that's right. There were videos of Voltron coming out at the time. And I remember you just like you kind of joked about like, oh, I'm manifesting this. And I said stop it or whatever. And I remember Mike kind of laughing. And we thought that you were going to change the song to something different, but then you went back to Europa Park music. I vividly recall being like, Allison, stop. You keep doing this. We're going to turn it into a trip.
Whoops.
Whoops. And next thing you know, we have Dakota coming through the door of a fondue place, tripping and breaking the door off.
No, it was just the garland.
I know it was the garland, but I was saying more for dramatic effect.
No, I think he did almost break the door too. I think he pulled it the wrong way or something, and it got caught.
He did. He did. He pulled it the wrong way, and the garland came down.
And
The
I'm pretty
waiter,
sure we got yelled at in German and
yeah, we got. Well, I mean, we were in Sweden at that point. No, not Sweden.
Switzerland.
Switzerland. We were in Switzerland, and we were also like those of us that were already at the table. We were trying not to laugh, and the gentleman that was our waiter was just like he was giving disappointed dad face. Like he was like that is the one thing that is universal language. Like you don't have to say a single word. He was just giving disappointed dad.
I think I remember him coming over and holding the door open and being like, just go, just go.
He did.
Okay.
He did, and because Dakota didn't know what to do, and he was trying to fix it, and then he made it worse because the other side of the garland came down off the door.
I think I was right behind him, and we're just like standing there with his garland like draped over his shoulders.
Because I was already seated, and I remember looking up and saying something to the effect of, "What on earth is going on over there?" Oh man!
But then we had one of the best meals of our life.
We did, and so we went to Europa and everything. But man, the Europa trip overall, I would say was probably my most fun. I still think about those Euros that Joey took us to, and we had that one night by the park.
Yeah.
Those were tasty. I think my favorite moment though was the very first trip, like going over and we landed in Brussels, and we drove down to Phantasialand, and ultimately went to Phantasialand and Palazzo Japan, and then we popped over to France, and we got to be out on that beach for a minute. And shockingly, there were people in the water. It was not warm.
Nope. It was November.
Yeah, it was November. It was not warm. The wind was howling. But I think my favorite moment overall, and I know that you shared this with me as well, of being a core memory, is just that night in Antwerp after we ate Italian food.
Yeah.
At no, it's not Del Grazio's. What was it called? Another mutual friend, posted a picture, ironically, from the same exact street that we walked down.
Oh, yeah.
With the same exact angle that I have a picture of. And I saw the Italian place, and I was like, I walked there. But yeah, I remember that night because that was the night that kind of helped me to see that, hey, there is a world to be seen and to be experienced, explored, people to talk to, that are outside of the context of where you may be or may have been born and raised.
Mm-hmm.
And kind of having that third eye opened, because I remember at one point on that night, you and Mike had went into a convenience store to go look at something because one of y'all saw something and it caught your eye and you went in. And I remember just standing there against the pole, not having my phone out, just looking around at at Antwerp and listening to the people in a language that I didn't know what they were talking about, but they were just enjoying their lives. And that was the moment that I was just kind of like, wow, like I want to see more of this. Like I want to, I went from, being born and raised in rural central Kentucky to being on the other side of the globe for the first time. And that's the favorite memory I have. And I mean, that memory, that night, everything we did, including the KFC at 2 a.m.
in the shadow of a cathedral.
In the shadow of a cathedral. I'm still kicking myself in the shin that I didn't get a brewski at that bar in the castle that when we walked by. Still kicking myself about that.
Or we didn't stop at like that Irish pub earlier in the night before.
I know. Oh my gosh. And I'm still kind of kicking myself that, if I was not, if we weren't as tired and didn't get delayed by that traffic and everything else getting back over to Antwerp, I would have loved to have stayed out and just talked to more people or go to the Irish pub that randomly transformed into a nightclub because
right.
Yes. I will never forget walking by like, oh, normal Irish pub. And then after the sunset, it's
yeah, like we had gone back over there like, oh, let's go get like a pint or something. Nope.
Let's go get a pint. And then next thing you know, the torculator is happening over at the Irish pub, which makes complete sense.
Yeah.
Another funny moment, it was right before we headed back to the hotel. It was later in the night. I think it was when we were walking over to the waffle place.
Oh yeah, I forgot we did the waffle place.
And I got a waffle and Goldfind. And I remember we turned down one of the streets, and I remember just from this small little like club or like small plate like bar place, I just remember hearing Nelly's "Hot in Here" blaring.
I don't recall that.
And I was just like, wow, okay. Oh man. I have too auditory heavily of a memory.
No, I get that.
But yeah. So I mean, in a very elongated roundabout way, my favorite trip, Europa Park, favorite moment thus far in international travel is still the night in Antwerp.
Yeah. That was a good time. Just taking stupid pictures.
Gosh,
imitating statues, doing your pose or whatever under that bridge.
Getting pissed that you all stuck me at the front row of freaking Chiapas, and I erroneously believed that the Germans were smart enough to put, oh yeah, this has a winter mode, it won't get you as wet. No, they should have just paused the boat mid last drop and just handed you a bucket of water to soak yourself before you went down.
One of my other favorite moments from that trip is your on-ride photo from Winges. Maybe make that the episode art.
I forgot about that photo. I remember when we all saw it, we like were crying laughing.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
And at €5 a pop, I mean, had to buy it. Yeah.
Shout out to your European parks for having everything, reasonably priced.
For real. I have an honorable mention for a domestic park trip that we've done. And that was the OSHA Cred Run.
Yeah, that was a good one. That was a banger. That was a banger.
Just going to like the sketchiest parks all in one trip and hoping we make it out alive.
And every park on that trip was quote unquote OSHA compliant. Yeah.
Because I remember coming up with that one during, I think it was like the Wobble Fest that we did. We're sitting at breakfast at the True and coming up with an idea for just how many terrible parks can we do in one trip? but still have a good time.
Oh yeah.
Coined it the OSHA cred run, and people have continued the trend.
Yeah, and now it's like a running joke amongst like so many people of doing another OSHA cred run up there.
Yeah, that's what it's
And,
just called to do all the Wisconsin parks. And I mean, we were smart and went all the way up to Green Bay.
one, I mean, it's funny because um, uh, oh dear, what is it called? Um, oh my gosh, Zip and Pippin's there. I'm blanking on the park. Bay Beach.
Bay Beach, yeah.
Bay Beach is very much actually OSHA compliant, and a very polished, very proper, old school style amusement park. And then you had Little America, and then you had Mount Olympus, which we all know Mount Olympus. We also had the Family Fun.
People's Choice.
Yes, thank you. People's Choice Family Fun Center with the dueling urinals. Gosh, what else do we have?
Indiana Beach.
Indiana Beach, yep.
All the little plus ones.
Yeah. Oh, and then we also did get at Safari
Safariland.
Yeah, Safariland. Thank you. We also got Safariland, which that Tiger Terror had no business being that good. Had no business being unironically that good.
May it rest in peace.
Amen. Pour one out for a king. Oh boy. So yeah,
one other trip. We could literally just talk for hours about trips that we've been on.
Yeah, I know.
The Pennsylvania trip with Matt. My first time meeting Matt and just absolutely broke him in the car.
Literally broke him. Man. And now it's and now look where Matt has come along into all of this.
Yeah.
It's man. Craziness.
I feel like we should have just another episode at some point, just me and you talking about all the trips that we've been on.
Yeah, see how much.
So many.
See how much I can actually recall versus not recall.
Right. I can recall most of them. Yeah, I've while you've been talking, I've been scrolling through my phone looking for pictures of you to use for episode art and just being reminded of some of these trips. Memphis Kitty Park.
Oh my gosh. You said Memphis what?
Memphis Kitty Park.
I don't think we went to that.
We did. We were
oh, that's in Ohio.
Yeah, not Memphis.
Yeah, Taylor. Sorry. My bad.
Taylor doesn't know this, but
San Bernardino. Yeah, Memphis Kitty Park. We went over to Waldameer.
Yep.
Gosh. I mean, we've had so many random shenanigans.
We have. All right. Anyway, enough trips. We'll do more of that eventually. In terms of content creation, I know you have a little side project for Jungle Jikes.
Yes.
Inspired by Jungle Gyms.
International Food Market.
Yeah. Jungle Gym's Price Magic, but now it's just Jike Magic.
Yes. Still to this day, Jike Magic.
Yeah. We have someone that referenced that literally over the weekend, I'm pretty sure.
Oh yeah, it was Kyrie. Kyrie kept calling it Jungle Gyms the entire time.
Right. He refuses to call it Jungle Gyms. Every time he texted me, he was like, "Do you want anything from Jungle Jikes?" I'm like, no, I'm good. But yeah, do you want to talk about kind of that journey? I don't know if it's a journey, but just an outlet for some of your photography and trip recaps.
Yeah. So My Instagram is Jungle Jikes, Travel Magic, as Allison already said. Um, and I want to take it to kind of another level of terms of creativity and being able to do reels and stuff. Um, just trying to find other content like savvy people that know what they're doing to kind of, I don't want to say manipulate the Instagram algorithm, which is heavily reels biased now, unfortunately. Um, but be able to navigate it in such a way that it can be better utilized, I guess is the appropriate thing to say. Um, I mean, because admittedly, it's been kind of quiet over there for a minute now. Um, but I do want to I am going to get back into the habit of getting back on there and consistently posting again because I do enjoy it. I love it's kind of a potpourri type of scenario with it. Of I don't really have an objective of like, oh my gosh, I want to grow this and become the next big thing, but um, I utilize it to be able to share my experiences and travels to others, and maybe along the way find some local businesses. Well, continue to find local businesses. Excuse me, continue to find local businesses to support and shout out to. Still to this day, I've only had one local business that I have not put onto that account or recommended it to anyone willingly. So, so far, it's been really good for me to be able to showcase those places because it may be a place that, could be a little bit off the beaten path, or it could be a random mom and pop shop that you don't really know about or have heard about. And, um, you know, it's, it's just a place for me to shout out those types of places, but also it's a place to share my travels with others,
Mhm.
because I do enjoy that, and I don't want to clog up my own personal social medias with all of that because I tend to do a lot of hopping around.
Yep.
So I hope that as I continue to get older, I am able to continue to keep hopping around um, and doing random, buffoonery. So
We're good at that.
yes, we are.
Shenanigating.
Shenanigating.
Um, do you have any interest in like pursuing more reels in the future?
Oh, I absolutely do.
Okay.
I mean, I've had a few ideas that will randomly creep through my head, and that's the thing though is I will get an idea and I will see my head how I want it to go, but then me trying to do it with only a phone,
Yeah.
yeah, it's not like I thought about getting one of those little small, I guess they're called Osmos or whatever they are.
Mhm.
Like I thought about getting one of those at some point, but it's like
I have issues with like the Instagram Reels editor and I'm just really bad at using that and I much prefer to just use Premiere Pro and then send things back to my phone to post. But that's
that
just a
yeah.
lot of effort.
Yeah, because the I mean, I want to be honest. Like even on the photo side, the baked in Instagram tools that they've rolled out are kind of all just half baked.
Yeah.
None of them are any good. And plus, like if, with photos, depending on your quality of photo that you upload to Instagram, it's going to be compressed to heck anyway.
Yeah.
So, um, I wish that you didn't have to do all this clunkiness if you are someone that is a creative and wants to do something well and does want to share that with the world. Um, it's still to this day is very clunky being able to do that. But I mean, I do think like with, for example, between Mac OS and iPhones, you do have that little more of connectivity or integration, I should say, of being able to
Yeah.
cross post stuff a little easier now. Um, but I mean, still, like as you said though, Allison, like it's the built-in tools for Instagram leave a lot to be desired.
Yeah. People talk about like talk crap about the Apple ecosystem a lot. Um, but man, has it been good for my productivity. Like
Well,
having a MacBook and having my iPhone and then just being able to just so quickly share things back and forth makes
well,
my life so
so
much better.
well, and it's very funny that you say that because when I was in college, we had a professor that swore by everything Apple. And some of us being college students thinking that we knew better, um, you know, talk to him and we're like, oh, why do you like everything from Apple? Raw. Um, and he looks at us and goes, he said, tell me how your PC's working. He's like, tell me how you can go from one device to another simply and everything just works
Hmm.
and everything communicates with each other and you don't have to think about doing it. It just does it.
Yeah.
And I remember that being said, that little seed kind of being planted in my head. Because at that time, of course, this is in 2009, 10, 11. So, we are in the infant days of Android. And, the iPhone, we were on iPhone 4 and 4S at that point. And so the iPhone had already come into its own. And I remember going from that that old Android to an iPhone 4 or 4S and just having my mind blown of, oh my gosh, like the apps aren't crashing all the time. It's the phone stays on and doesn't do anything weird. Um, and I mean, yeah, like if you're if you're into software coding or wanting to do gaming and such, the Mac ecosystem is not really tailored for that.
Yeah.
I mean, Apple was trying to fix that, but when it comes to solid integration across the totality of the ecosystem, and when it comes to the ability of graphics people or audio people or DJs or what have you, being able to create and brainstorm and such, the Mac and by extension the Apple ecosystem is the best to do it because Windows is so fractured, and then of course Linux. Well, Linux is not built for that stuff at all.
Yeah.
Sorry to get on to a side tangent about technology there, but
It all ties into creativity.
it is a creative podcast, so
It is.
get the creative part in.
And it just kind of, depends on how people work best, what's most efficient for them,
Absolutely.
what system works for them. Um, I guess speaking of, I don't know if that's really speaking of technology. That's a terrible segue. Anyway, who kind of inspired you getting into the community and being creative?
Ooh. Well,
Without opening too much of Pandora's box.
chat, there's a story. So, ironically, it's hard to believe, actually 10 years ago around this time of year. It was the opening day of Storm Chaser. There was a guy that was there, and he was there with his brother. And they said that they were starting a YouTube channel. And I was like, I'll subscribe to it and whatever. And so I subscribed to it, and that led to us becoming friends. And that led to our little friend group growing. And with that particular channel, and again, this is pre-Instagram Reel days. So, this is exclusively when Instagram is on photos. And, the YouTube channel was organically growing. The Instagram was growing, and I got to help a ton with the Instagram because the other people just didn't have any interest in running it. And we had a lot of good organic growth, and so that's kind of where the creativity pretty much began. There were some decisions that were made by parties within that friend group, which unfortunately led to the closure of that YouTube channel, that social media that I was helping to run. But the bug for continuing to create or continuing to highlight my travels or highlight other businesses, that stayed with me even from then. And so it took me a long time to figure out what I want to do, and also just because I'm always kicking the can down the road with a lot of stuff in life. It was actually conversations with you that led to me being like, okay, I could start the Instagram, and gosh, I think it was coming back from Pennsylvania when I was trying to think of a name, and I told you I wanted to do it, and I jokingly said, something about having a logo because I was like, I don't want a shitty logo, and then you just randomly like pooped out like 3 or 4 different options in 10 minutes in the backseat of the car, and I was like, girl, what?
Yeah, that's just what I do. No, I remember you giving like certain like keywords and vibes, and I happened to have my laptop with me, and I saw it in my head, threw it together, turned it around the screen. I'm like, oh, you mean like this? You're like, what?
Yeah, I remember vividly being like, excuse me, like, girl, I didn't realize you were in the kitchen back there cooking. Like, man.
Oh yeah,
Um,
I did that all the time at my last job. We'd be in like meetings over, some like advertisements, marketing stuff or whatever. Everybody's talking, and I'm just there quiet on my laptop. And then they're like, "Allison, what do you think?" And I turn my laptop around with an entire thing designed. I'm like, "Oh, like this?" They're like, uh, uh, "Yeah, just like that."
and yeah, you're like, yeah,
That's
yeah.
just what I do. I work in the background and then just work my magic.
Yeah. Um, and so that led to me creating it, and I do hope that I can make it grow a little bit more and everything, because I do want to, I do want to see some kind of growth from it, perhaps. But also, like, I just want to continue sharing my adventures with people and having a more centralized place for me to be able to do that is very, very helpful.
Yeah.
It's very helpful to have that instead of having 3, 4, 5 different things kind of hop, skipping, and jumping everywhere.
Yeah, I know that feeling.
Right?
I always have so much going on. Um, what are some of your other hobbies outside of coasters?
Ooh. Outside of coasters, I really enjoy. I enjoy sunsets, long walks on the beach.
I said hobbies, not dating profiles.
um, no, I enjoy being outdoors. I enjoy hiking. Like, that's something that I've really gotten into because as I was growing up as a kid, and then heading to my teenage years, I didn't mind being outside, but I also didn't really go seeking it out. And so I've learned to treasure that a lot more, and I enjoy hiking and going on walks. I enjoy being outdoors, as I said. I enjoy spending time with friends, because as we said at the beginning of the episode, it's crazy how much time has elapsed
Mm-hmm.
just in the span of us basically knowing each other since 2019. Um, and trying not to take those days for granted because I've even at my work, like, I've caught myself being like, oh my gosh, I want the clock to tick by. I just want to be off work. And I've had to stop myself and be like, no, like, yes, you are at work. Yeah, nobody wants to be at work. Everyone wants to be able to do whatever they wish that they could truly do. But even those monotonous days, like, we shouldn't really go and try to just wish our days away because next thing we're all going to grow old, and we may not all have our health. We may not have our mobility. We may not have our um, mental facilities all with us. And I've just learned to just take each day at face value and enjoy it with the people and with the people you want to be with. And yeah, I mean a little bit of a rabbit hole for my
That
hobby.
turned a little more heavy than I expected.
Yeah, a little bit of a rabbit hole for my hobbies, and I know it's probably a little heavy for a creative podcast, but here we are. um, but yeah, no, like I just enjoy spending time a lot with people, and that's something that I never want to lose.
Yeah. I think that's like the greatest thing that I've gained from this hobby as well, is just the people.
Yeah.
I mean, just take a look at the wedding. Like, oh man, I should pull up those stats that I read out at the wedding.
You should.
So, um, I don't remember if I talked about this on the recap episode of the wedding, even though it was literally a couple days ago I recorded that.
It was about 48 hours ago.
That I recorded it, yeah, something like that.
Yeah, because it was on the way to Cedar Point.
Yeah. Okay. So on my RSVPs, so we had like probably 70% coaster people invited to the wedding. Like it was a very high percentage.
Nerds.
Yeah, because me and Mike met through coasters, and all of our friends are in coasters, so naturally that's just how it happens. But in our RSVP, I asked people to put their cred count.
As one does.
My family members were all very confused. I was very proud of my sister. She was determined to figure out her credit count. And we went back and forth for a while on a Google Doc where she listed out all the parks that she had been to and the years and what coasters she remembered. And I went back and looked at what coasters were there during that year and gave her a list, and she figured out what one she remembered being on. Anyway, her coaster count's like 70.
Dang. Okay.
Yeah. My dad's is 3. I gave him a shout out in the welcome speech.
Yeah,
The average the average count of just the coaster people that RSVP'd, and that's not even including people who like stopped counting at a certain number, like Larson did. Some people just didn't put a number. But the approximate average was 526.5 coasters.
Is the half a evacuation, or is it a boomerang that they only got that valid and they didn't get the whole circuit on?
It's just an uneven average.
It's a very uneven average.
But yes, it was a very high average of coasters.
It was kind of crazy that it was that high. Like I remember,
Yeah.
you telling me that it was pretty high, and then you said it at the welcome speech. And I was like, "Oh crap!" Okay.
People were cheering at that too. It was crazy.
Yeah, they were. Oh my gosh.
Yeah, there were quite a few nerds at the wedding.
Quite a few, girl.
But that just goes to show, like, the people that you meet in this community, and I mean, you obviously have something to bond over. You just got to find the people in the community that you drive with the most. Stick with them.
Absolutely.
Exhibit A, my guest on this podcast today.
Stop it.
I do want to wrap this up soon because I still need to pack for Europe.
You do need to pack for Europe.
I literally haven't even started. My bag is still not empty from this past weekend.
Oh boy.
Yeah, and I have tonight and tomorrow, and that is it. Well, speaking of which, Mike is literally currently buying me clothes for the trip.
Well, there you go.
Because I don't have time to.
Look at him go.
But one last question to kind of close it out is, what advice do you have for younger enthusiasts getting into the hobby?
Oh boy. Wow.
Say you were to be a role model for kids in getting into coasters.
Oh gosh, that's terrifying. I guess if you are of a younger demographic and you have stumbled upon this and you're listening to it thus far, I think the advice I would give you is the advice I had to tell myself is this whole thing of being obsessed with coasters and enjoying them and knowing all the facts and stats and what is a block zone and all that, it's not so weird. And there's a lot of creative history, um, looking back, over the attractions that have already been brought to life, going back 50, 60, 70, 80 years ago. And there's a lot of wonder to be seen and understood from all of that. And even in this heavily technological age with artificial intelligence and all that, never lose the creative spark, never lose your ability to take up an interest in a hobby. And furthermore, it may seem like a lot right now to you, caring about what your friends and others may think. But ultimately, it in the grand scheme, it truly doesn't matter. And in so long as you are yourself and you surround yourself with the people that will push you to become a better version of you. And, that's advice I wish I had given myself when I was younger to help me understand that there is hope at the light of at the end of a very dark tunnel. And, I'm very happy that I got to walk out of that tunnel and I got to, have, been blessed with friends that I can count as family and still be able to be comfortable enough in my own skin to be like, yeah, I like coasters. So what? you know? So it's like, oh, if we're going to hobby shame here, tell me your hobbies. I'm sure I can think of ways to shame yours. So, but yeah, I mean, that's the advice I would give someone younger is, there's a lot of fun, creative history. There's a lot of hilarious stories. There's stories that I have been fortunate to have had stumble into my lap that I have to look back and just laugh at them because they are literally that audacious. um, but I love hearing about those things because it showcases the care and the love that people put into bringing these attractions to life for your enjoyment.
Mm-hmm. So. Oh, I'm happy to play a little bit of a role in getting you into some of these new places.
Oh, stop it. Stop it.
Like, I still remember us sitting at the Dublin airport at the end of our first Europe trip, eating our like Thanksgiving sandwiches or whatever they were.
Burger. It was a burger because Ireland calls them burgers and they're chicken sandwiches.
Whatever it was, it had a bunch of, I think it was a turkey thing because it was Thanksgiving and there were a bunch of fixings on it and all that.
Mine was like a turkey, but
yeah,
there was chicken on it too. I can't remember.
I don't know, but drinking a European Fanta because they're superior.
Amen.
And just reminiscing on the trip, on your first whirlwind of a European trip.
Yeah. And I recall breaking down in tears.
Yep.
As in the Dublin airport with my pint of Guinness and my Thanksgiving burger on my plate and looking like a babbling idiot. Because I had a fourth grade teacher. Her name was Miss Weitzel, and she, outside of my parents, specifically my mom, was the first adult to really believe in me, and kind of implanted the seed in my ear of, if you want to go see the world, you can do that. Like, I know you can do it. I know that you can. You are capable. Because at that time I was really struggling with my with my Asperger's syndrome, and I didn't really have anyone outside of my mom in my court, and that was the first time I really had someone in my court for that, and she was the one that planted that seed of, hey, you can go see the world. And it was just having that moment there at the Dublin airport, because it was the first time that I really got to sit down and just kind of debrief mentally, and it hit me that I did it, that I got to go and I got to see a new part of the world I never thought possible. And man, little did I know where that was going to lead.
Yeah. Oh, hello, Nemi. Jesus. Sorry. Nemi is just like at the door and just like did a front flip against the door, and it scared the crap out of me.
Well, he's just trying to let you know, Mom, I'm here.
No, he sees a toy that's right under, like right past the door that he can't reach.
Yeah, that's
Um, yeah, like now me and you have been to like what, something like 10 countries together.
no, not 10.
I know me and Mike have done 10 as of
Uh,
today. That'll
stay,
change in a few days, but
stand by. I have been to 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Because I have one that you all have not been to, so I have 10 as well.
which one?
Well, technically it's a country. Puerto Rico.
I mean, I also have Mexico and the Bahamas, but I haven't done those with Mike.
Yeah, I got Puerto Rico. So, but hey, maybe at the very least next year I'll add to that flag list.
Yeah.
So
We'll make it happen.
yeah, hopefully without PTO blackouts.
Trust me, I know the feeling.
Yeah.
We love it.
Anyway,
Thank you for joining me on here, John Mike.
of course
This has been fun. It's always fun when we get to hang out.
it is.
Even though, we were literally sharing a house this weekend,
We were.
as we tend to do a lot of weekends.
Yeah.
Well, any parting words for the podcast?
I guess my parting words for the podcast is going to be a quote that I actually used at the wedding, which is, take care of yourselves and each other. So, which bonus points if you know who said that, for those of you listening.
I don't even remember you saying it during the ceremony, so there's that. The whole thing was kind of a blur. I need you to send me everything you wrote.
I do have the script. I was actually, I got something in mind. So anyway, for
Okay.
that. But yeah, no, bonus points if you could do that. Now, don't know if you all will be up for it, but I do have something, since Bryant is not with us, and by extension Jen, since neither of them are with us tonight. I do have a coaster trivia.
Ooh.
That maybe if you all want to, if you feel comfortable enough to slip the answer in for the next week's episode, we can do that.
Well, you'll have to remind me in like a few weeks, because the next like actual recording we'll do will be after we come back home.
Oh boy. Okay.
But that's what socials are for, right?
Yeah. I just hope we both remember it. We don't leave everyone hanging.
Yeah, if we do, someone will remind us.
I'm sure. All right. Well, so the question is, what has been the only coaster to have been fully assembled and then painted?
I can think of one, but I don't know if it's the right answer.
So again, the question is, what has been the only coaster to have been fully assembled at its site, and then it was painted?
Well, I'll hear the answer in a few minutes when we stop recording.
Yes.
But for all of our lovely listeners, put your answer in on the Instagram post whenever I actually finally make it. Because I'll have to remember to do that in Poland.
Yeah, you might have to remember to do that.
Yeah. But give us your answers. I'll be curious if my guess is correct. I don't think it is, but that's fine. In the meantime, hashtag keep thinking inverted. Or I guess I should pull a Jen and be like, I think that brings us to the end of our episode. Channeling my inner Jen. But yeah, keep thinking inverted, and we will see y'all next time.